So first I'm going to introduce Sriman Sahadeva Prabhu from Los Angeles. He actually got first in touched by the devotees. He was fortunate enough to have actually been touched by Srila Prabhupada when he was on the earth in 1975. And so he has had experience of both Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudeva. And he came to Srila Gurudeva. He first met Srila Gurudeva in the year 2000 in San Diego. So again, thank you so much, Prabhu, for coming at before 4 in the morning and giving up your valuable bhajan time to share with us. We're very excited to hear your glorification. Hari Bol, Prabhu, over to you. And welcome. You need to unmute yourself, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for inviting me to this Vaishnava Samaj. I'm very honored to be here. Last week I had the privilege to hear from Prem Paroja Prabhu, and it was very wonderful for me. And somehow or another, through Madhuri and others, I'm snatched up, you know. So, Om Agyan Tamirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshu Manitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Shrimad Bhaktivedanta Narayana Mitinamane Shri Krishna Katane Sadhaksha Madhaya Madhara Ganayasta Yuktam Barambarayam Purushan Mahantam Narayanam Tvam Sirasa Namami Chidandinam Bhakta Saromanam Cha Shri Krishna Padabja Ditaikiridhi Chaitanya Lila Ritasar Saram Narayanam Tam Satata Papaje Vandeham Shri Guru Varam Shri Rupanuvapavaram Rajarasarasikam Cha Narayanam Papanam Shri Guru Charanam Vande Ramana Pastaya Bhutale Rupanuga Bhakidam Cha Kripamurti Narayanam Ma Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Eti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvashesha Shunyavadi Paskajadi Shitarane Bhakti Siddhanta Shishaya Bhaktivedanta Namane Prashannaya Prashantaya Tasma Shri Guruve Namaha Panchakapatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Vrindaya Tulosirevaya Priya Keshavascha Krishna Bhakti Paridevi Satyavachaya Namo Namaha. So thank you very much for inviting me to your Mahotava. I wrote it down this morning to myself, the Bhaktivedanta Narayan Smaran Mahotava 2020 and 2021. So we're gonna all together invite Srila Gurudev here, just like we did when he was on on tour. When we first saw him coming out of the car or walking into the assembly. Swagatam Gurudev, Suswagatam Gurudev, Swagatam Suswagatam. Sharanagatam Gurudev, Swagatam Gurudev, Suswagatam Gurudev, Swagatam Suswagatam, Sharanagatam Gurudev. Antikapathri Vishcha Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. I'm very, very honored to be here and to meet so many devotees all over the world. It's, it's really amazing because most of us have been on lockdown, and so we don't get to have that camaraderie that we normally do. Sometimes we have morning programs online, on the telephone, or we meet in the evening on conference calls like we're doing now. So this is another dimension of that, and now I can see more and more of my God brothers and God sisters all over the world. Last week, like I said, we heard from Prem Parojan, and then at the end, we also saw Ashram Maharaj and so many devotees on. It was so uplifting. So taking some notes from Sri Prem Parojan's class last week, he said something that really helped me a lot. He was saying that we should never, never under any circumstances have the conception that Sri Gurudev is an ordinary person. He was saying basically by doing something like that, no amount of knowledge will actually manifest in the heart, he was saying. And then he was saying, Yashadevi Parabhaktir, this verse, that by worshiping and having love and devotion for Krishna and Gurudev equally, then all the imports of the Vedas can manifest in the heart. And then he quoted from the Padma Purana that actually there's a verse there he was saying that if one has just a little bit more bhakti for Gurudev, then Krishna himself will manifest himself, give his darshan. So I was thinking about that all week, how wonderful that is. That Sri Krishna, his grace, his real grace or his real mercy, it becomes condensed, and all his mercy becomes condensed in one form, and that form is Sri Guru. So that's Krishna's grace. But then the amazing grace that comes is when we actually have darshan of Krishna's bhakti, Sri Guru. Like this. So I was thinking of all these things last week, and now you asked me to speak something. So by coming under the anugacha of Sri Guru and hearing his Harinam and his Harikatha and receiving, his mood, Krishna Seva Vasana in the heart, then we become transformed from, actually, like it says, Tamasi Ma Yotirgama, from darkness to light. We are also given the opportunity to leave this world of so much agony, birth, death, and suffering, and come to the seva, to the service of Sri Guru, the Vaishnavas, and Mahaprabhu, Radha Krishna Yugala like this. So I'm very, I was thinking of all these things, and I think that if we did not have the touch of Sri Guru or his glance or his merciful kirtan, then where would we be? Each person who comes to this line, it's only because Krishna has sent Srila Gurudev, any Sadguru, into our life. And by their mercy, by their merciful glance, by their merciful touch, by their merciful, even meditating on their disciples, we get nourishment. Just like in nature, a turtle might lay its eggs on the beach and then cover it with sand. And then she goes back into the ocean and she meditates on her children, those eggs, and they actually hatch and start to develop. And the same way, when fish give birth, their glance nourishes those newborn fish. And then in nature, we see that birds, they give birth to an egg and they sit on the egg and keep it warm, and then finally it hatches. So in the same way, by Gurudev's merciful glance, or all transcendental mercy comes inside the devotee's heart. If he touches us, then we receive that same transcendental, Shakti to engage in bhakti. And if he meditates on his disciples, that also gives nourishment to us. So this is the power and the mercy of Sri Guru. Once Gurudev was speaking from Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and he was saying that there was one, I think his name, what was his name? I can't remember the name now. But Gurudev was saying that, I think it was Ganashrama, by his mercy, he was able to give that disciple full tattvagan and full realization of his spiritual form and full realization of Krishna. That person never did any sadhana, never did anything, never fasted on the Kaddishi, never chanted japa, anything like that. But just by the mercy of that, of his Sri Gurudev, all those things, he got that qualification to come to Vrindavan. So I was thinking Gurudev also has the same thing for us. And we can see that in the short years that we heard from him, how we've been transformed. No one else could have done that for us. So I was thinking how wonderful that is that we were able to meet him and have his darshan. So Prem was speaking, he explained like 4 components of attainment of spiritual enlightenment. And I was very, very amazed to hear that. And I thought about it all week, and I'm thinking, yes, it's so true that by by hearing from Gurudev, then what happens first that we get, sambandha gyan, we get relation with this world, with Maya Tattva, Jiva Tattva, we understand these things. And then as we grow, we take initiation and we can grow in our bhakti. We hear his Gurudev's Vani. And then by self-study, we can also acquire further knowledge. And then he said, Prem said, and the third aspect of these 4 components of growing in spiritual life and enlightenment, attaining knowledge, the third component was hearing and sharing realizations with our God brothers and God sisters about Gurudev's Vani. So I was thinking, yes, Krishna is saying the same thing. He's saying, Tushtanti cha, Ramanti cha, that they derive great pleasure and satisfaction by discussing my glories. And in the same way, our God brothers and God sisters, by hearing their revelation of Gurudev's teachings, we can also grow in our bhakti. And if we remember from Sri Ramanuja Acharya, he came to his Gurudev just as his Gurudev was about to go into Samadhi. And it was a great a mystic transaction they had, because he had 3 fingers. And he went to his Gurudev and said, although he was in that form of, or that state of Samadhi, about to, become unmanifest to this world, he made these promises and he surrendered to his Gurudev, and his Gurudev blessed him. And all the other God brothers and God sisters, they recognized that, oh, this person has received the mercy of our Gurudev, and he's so enlightened, and Gurudev was so pleased with him and what he said, that we should make him the next Acharya. So they approached Ramanuja, after they put their Gurudev, Yamuna Acharya in Samadhi, they spoke these things. And so he said, yes, I will accept this seva. But first, I would like to serve each one of my God brothers and sisters and hear Gurudev's Vani from them. And so he served all his God brothers and sisters, learned from them Gurudev's instructions, Vani, and then later on he became Acharya. So I thought this was a very relevant thing, that when Prem was discussing the third division of attaining spiritual enlightenment or knowledge, was to discuss with our God brothers and God sisters. So Ramanuja is like the praman of that. We could see like that Ramanuja Acharya, he set that example as well in his life. And then he said, and the last component of the sequence of 4 stages of developing knowledge, he said, is time, so maturation. So we follow this process, and in due course of time, everything starts to manifest. We become more wise, more devoted, and we learn how to conquer the mind and senses like this. And I was thinking like Srila Vyasadeva, he compiled all the Vedas, all the Upanishads, so many wonderful scriptures, Vedantas. But although he did all that, Gurudev was telling that he felt some dissatisfaction in his heart. And he went to his Gurudev, Sri Narayana, and Narayana instructed him, oh yes, you talked of all these things and you showed so many different sadhanas and paths, but you have not glorified Rajalila. and the glories of Radha and Krishna there. So he said, you should meditate on this and realize it. As it's described in the first canto, Bhakti Yoga Manasa, that he, by meditating on these things, and he was able to see the whole spiritual world, Raja, Radha, Krishna, everything like that. And in that understanding, he compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is his maturation, or that time. Same thing. He had to have some time to realize all these things. This maturation of his spiritual realization. He spoke, or he realized the sadhya and the sadhana, and he wrote it in the Srimad Bhagavatam. This Adiras, this topmost position, Arajo Bhagavan Vajeshis Tanayata Dhamma Vrindavanam. This whole thing, he was able to share it with the world. Jamma Yasha, opening this, which is the opening invocation of Srimad Bhagavatam. So only by the mercy of Sri Guru can we attain all perfection. Narada Muni told him, yes, now you should meditate on Raj Leela, and when it manifested in his heart, he wrote these things down, and that was considered Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is the process in every age with every disciple and every guru, that if we follow their instructions, these 4 stages will manifest. Prem was also saying, Yasha Devi Parabhakti Yata Devi Tata Guru Tashati Kahita Yata Prakashanti Mahatmana. So by worshiping Krishna and honoring Sri Guru and following his instructions, and all the imports, they manifest in the heart. He also Gurudeva was also explaining like this in one of his kirtans. Bhakti Baba Prem. This one. Tina Prakashata Shri Guru Patita Pavan Guru Charana Kamala Bhajaman. So Gurudev, with his own bhajan, his own kirtan, came out of his heart to give to us, that these 3 stages of bhakti come, and he's telling, oh, mine, worship the lotus feet of Sri Guru. So only by this method can we attain success. And our greatest good fortune is that Srila Gurudev came into our life. And when he met us, he said, oh, when I met my disciples and all the devotees, all I saw was broken hearts. So Gurudev's first thing was to embrace us out of his compassion, give us his love and mercy, and say, oh lala, oh lali, everything's fine. I will help you. I will help you. He did this to each one of us. And Prem was explaining also how the Sadguru, he has the potency or the power to make each one of his disciples feel like he's the most special. Oh, my Gurudev loves me the most. And so I was meditating on all these things the last few days, and I was thinking, oh, Gurudev has given us so many things. There's one devotee, I think he came on, Mukunda Prabhu, and he always says on the conference calls that we should never think, oh, I can't speak because I don't know anything. He said that's a great offense, because Gurudev put something in our patra, in our pot, and whatever we were able to capture, we should share that. So thinking of those words, I got over my whatever my fright was to come to this Samaj and speak something. So I'm very honored. And Prem also explained how Guru is not an ordinary person. And he explained how one day he was chanting his japa, and he was also from time to time reading Atika Dhanachandra Goswami, was the disciple of Gopal Guru Goswami, on the method of, their particular method of bhajan. And Gurudev had summoned him. So once someone came to Prem's door and said Gurudev is calling. So he went there. And when he walked in, Gurudev said to him, oh, we don't follow that book. We don't read this book. We don't. And so Prem had another book in his hand to ask some questions to Gurudev, and Gurudev said, no, not this book, the other book that you were just reading. So Gurudev was showing that he's Trikalajna, past, present, and future is already within him. He knows everything. He knows what each one of his disciples are, what they're doing. He knew when they took birth, and he knew a method how to capture each one of us. This is the power of Sadhguru. So this is our great good fortune. And I was thinking, similar to what Prem went through. There were many times that similar circumstances happened to all of us. And in my own personal life, I remember in 2002, there was a Harikatha Mahotsava in upstate New York at the, I think it was Lake George or something like that. But anyway, after that, it was like 7-day festival. And then that Sunday morning, we all drove and accompanied Srila Gurudev from upstate New York to New Jersey, because that evening he was going to go to Newark Airport and catch a flight, our international flight with Madhava Maharaj and Brajanath and the rest of his entourage. So when we got to the house, it was the house of Vishnu and his family. Vishnu now has relocated to Houston, and out of his great affection for Gurudev, he established a wonderful Gaudiya temple there in Houston. But before that happened, Gurudev, we all went to Vishnu's house. And when we came in, Gurudev was welcomed, and then they sat him down, and we started Guru Puja. And everyone was in line. We were all waiting to offer Pushpanjali and touch his feet. And at that time, I was very new. And from the other institution that I had been in, I felt it was kind of inappropriate, but everyone here had so much mamata and love and affection for Srila Gurudev. And they offered a Pushpanjali and they would touch his feet. And I became a little apprehensive to do that. But I finally said, if everyone else can do it, I should do it. So I also offered Pushpanjali, bowed down, took his foot dust. And after that, they escorted Srila Gurudev upstairs, and we all had breakfast and the whole thing. And then I went back outside the house in the van with Bhumipati Prabhu. Bhumipati had actually drove Srila Gurudev in his van to Vishnu's house. So I went to his van to ask him, well, what happened? How was it? What was your experience with Srila Gurudev? And then after that, I decided, well, we're going to wait here all in the evening. We're going to escort Gurudev to the airport. So I decided to read something and, finish my rounds. And I had a book that Gurudev had, I think it was a compilation of some of his lectures, and it was called Rays of Hope. And when I opened it up to the page, I just opened it up, and it opened up to a page where it says that one should not see his guru in the mood of awe and reverence. One should, have mamata for Gurudev and see him as one's most dear bosom friend. And I remember reading that, and I said, oh, yes, no more fear. I should just accept him in my heart as my most dear bosom friend. And as soon as I read that passage, we had the sliding door in the van, and the van was open, and I was reading. And as soon as I said, oh, wow, then Gurudev showed up right there on the spot. And he said, you understand a little something now? And I said, yes, Gurudev, you're my most dear bosom friend, and I should no longer have any fear. I should just have love, open love for you. And he said, yes, very good. He says, I want that you become very strong and preach my mission all over the world. Understand? And I turned to say yes, and he was gone. He wasn't there. I looked toward the front door of the house. He wasn't there. I looked in the driveway. Gurudev was not there. So it was just to show. It was a very special day for me, that show that Gurudev is not an ordinary person, and he knows all of our thoughts. He knows all of our misgivings. He knows what we're trying to do, and he's always there. He'll always show up in a dream or in some passage in a book or through the Harikatha, one of our God brothers, he'll always manifest himself in a way that we can understand him and be encouraged to go further in bhakti. So I'm not going to say more than that. I wrote about 20 pages here, but what I really wanted to express was that I'm very happy that this medium is here for all the devotees to exchange their realizations and express their love and affection and appreciation and gratitude to Srila Gurudev and all those such as yourselves around the world who are helping us remember Srila Gurudev and his teachings and his compassion and his love for us. So I'm going to stop here. And if anyone has a question, comment, or criticism, please speak up. Thank you.
Prabhu, thank you so much. That was beautiful. I've got so much from you're the first person that's done a continuation from the previous week. I think that worked really, that was really beautiful. And so many things brought Gurudev back to me. The idea that, well, the fact that he wants us to be in intimate relationship with him. I took a little while to clock on that. And I remember making a decision. I thought, no, I've got to drop this awe and reverence stuff. And I had that same experience that you did in my heart. And I just thought, forget it. I'll take some risks. And if he gives me a slap, that'll be good as well. No problem. And he always wanted people to take risks with him. That was beautiful. And you explained how he's, he really stole our hearts. I mean, Gurudev, I was saying to someone this morning, Gurudev was the most expert seducer I know in the world. He even seduced my father, who's dead now, but he was quite an egocentric agnostic. But even he never believed in God to the day he died. He was unsure. But he said to me, if I believe in God, your guru's the man, he's the man for me. He just completely melted his heart. And I also remember, he really came to heal a lot of broken hearts as well. It was very, very merciful mission. But back in '96 in particular, I remember it being all about that. And you built on what Prem said last week about the four symptoms. And I was thinking about why is it that when we share, and this is very much the centrality of this program, and you were talking about how sharing our experience of Gurudev is so important. I was thinking why, and I was thinking, well, when we share his Vani, and also we share how he inspired us, and we share how we're inspired. So that's three things. We also share
our faith.
Huh?
Our faith.
Oh yeah, I actually didn't have that down. That's another one. We share our faith, and we share the affection that he has for us, and vice versa. So that's another two. And we share the qualities we see in each other. Like when I'm listening to you, I see your qualities, though I see Gurudev's qualities in you. And we also share remembrances, so the Vapu as well as the Vani. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 8 things that happen just through sharing. It's really beautiful.
Well, that's what Krishna is saying in the chapter 10, verse 9. Machirat magata prana bodha yantam parasparam kata yantas chanan nicha sushanti cha pramanti cha. The thoughts of my devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. So if Guru is the manifestation of Krishna, the same tattva is applicable.
Right. Beautiful. Beautiful, Guru. Thank you so much for your offering, your glorification. I hope you can stay for the rest of the program. But I fully understand.
I'll be here, but I won't be. I'll just listen. I'll put it on mute because I still have to care Takaji.
Thank you so much. And I know 4 o'clock in the morning is not easy, so
thank you very much.
Thank you so much.